Mighty Hotel, to the audience, Brother Raheem Bradley's awesome cable TV show, The Underground Railroad. This is Brother Mansong Kijibu Jibu Kulubali, and I am a knowledge gangster, and I appreciate Brother Raheem asking to participate in one of his shows. Today is Sunday, March 25th, in the so-called year of 2018, but people, we know it's far beyond this Caucasian's time of 2018, but that's another story. We're here at the Washington Park Fieldhouse, 5531 South King Drive, for our regular fourth Sunday in Cobra meeting. In Cobra, which I'm a member of, is the National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America. We have a Chicago chapter, and we meet here the fourth Sunday. So we're trying to do an interview before we actually start the meeting. You know, folks will be coming in not long from now. I wanted to take this opportunity to say Asante Sana to you, Brother Raheem, for your expertise in getting this knowledge out to our people. For as Dr. Karenga has contended, the battle is first for the hearts and minds of our people. For if we lose that battle, we can't hope to win any other. So I'm going to be dropping some knowledge via Kawaida philosophy, dropping knowledge via Garveyism, and a few others.
And you know, before we get started, can you tell us some type of knowledge about Dr. Karenga? Because there's some people that may not have that knowledge.
Yeah, sure. Well, Dr. Karenga represents our long line of activist scholars. This brother is basically from Pennsylvania, but he's been out on the West Coast creating positive action for decades. Dr. Karenga is an activist scholar. He has written several books, Introduction to Black Studies, the Husia, which deals with our ancient spiritual knowledge. He also has other books, Essays on Struggle. He also was a big important figure with the Million Man March back in 1995, and they published the mission statement for the Million Man March. He's done a lot of good things, and of course, out there on the West Coast, his organization, us black folks, as opposed to them, the others who wrecked and ruined our lives, the US organization was very instrumental in starting and continuing the cultural revolution that El Hajj Malik El Shabazz called for in the early 60s. And they have the African American Cultural Center out in Los Angeles, which I've been out there many times. You know, of course, in the early 80s, he sent for me and some others from around the country to participate in a month-long Leadership for Social Change, whole month-long training, which I was very appreciative of. And so Dr. Karenga also created Kwanzaa, and has done a lot of work. They're institution builders out there. But I want to use this time to share some insights into our reality. And of course, as Dr. King said, we got to get the language right. Malcolm X used to talk about that. We got to get the language right. Dr. Karenga has helped us do that with construction of Kawaida philosophy. Kawaida is an ongoing synthesis of the best of black nationalists, Pan-Africanists, and socialist thought and practice, and it seeks to delve into, do Sankofa into our African culture, because many of the solutions to our current problems are in that history and in those cultural practices. So Kawaida philosophy is a system of thought, just like Garveyism. And of course, today, not only is in Cobra having its meeting, but down the street on 49th at the Sigma House, the Universal Negro Improvement Association, of which I'm a member, African Communities League, Unit number 429, Division 429, I have their Women's Day program later on this afternoon.
Excuse me, what is the address for individuals that may be interested in joining that organization?
Okay, Universal Negro Improvement Association, African Communities League, Division 429 meets at 4941 South King Drive at the Sigma House.
In Chicago?
Yeah, here in Chicago.
Okay.
And of course, in Cobra meets at 5531 King Drive on the fourth Sunday, which is today. Excuse me. Now, this gentleman, the most honorable Marcus Garvey, did us a great service in terms of the entire African world by putting together a bold vision, by putting together a nationalist and Pan-Africanist philosophy that has come to be known as Garveyism. Several books that his wife was able to help get produced, Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, Book 1, Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, Book 2, Dr. Tony Martin, activist scholar, put together the book Race First. And we also have more philosophy and opinions of the Honorable Marcus Garvey. And the brother was just deep. He understood that we have to have a coherent system of views and values, as Dr. Karenga says, that gives us as a people a moral, material, and therefore meaningful interpretation of life and struggle, demanding our allegiance and a corresponding social practice. So philosophy is very important. That's why I want to refer people to Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey said, "Up, ye mighty race, you can accomplish what you will." He also gave us wise counsel in the 1920s when he said that the only argument that satisfies man, i.e. the white man, is power, physical, financial, and scientific. This brother was deep. And he just gave us all kind of information that would help stand us up as a people. And the mighty Universal Negro Improvement Association African Communities League is a grand example of what African people with a Pan-African consciousness can accomplish in this world. And in present day times, Garvey's organization and movement is alive and well. We have chapters all over this country and in other countries. So, also definitely look this brother up. Then, of course, you have the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who comes a little after Garvey with the Nation of Islam, and we know what great work that the messenger did in terms of raising up our people here in the hills of North America. Nation of Islam has an African-centered Islam, which we're very appreciative of. And the messenger gave us wise counsel. He said that our unity would be like an atomic bomb. I mean, the brother was just deep. He said, do for self. And he even taught us how to eat to live. Then, of course, one of the great ones that he raised up, who also had great history, his family and his father and mama and them with the Garvey movement, was El Hajj Malik El Shabazz, Malcolm X, Omar Wally. And of course, Malcolm is very inspirational. Malcolm is very inspirational for us. And one of the quotes that I really liked of Malcolm, he said, of all studies, it is history that can best reward our research. And Malcolm also said, we must recapture our African identity and heritage if we ever expect to break the bonds of white supremacy. Malcolm said, we must launch a cultural revolution to unbrainwash an entire people.
You know what I like to ask you when you talk about education?
Yes, sir.
There's an educational system in Chicago that's shutting down black schools. And can you expect your enemy to educate someone that will be competing against them efficiently?
Well, the wrongdoers are going to do what the wrongdoers do. And so as Dr. Frances Cress Welsing says, we have to counter their moves, their white supremacist moves in the basic areas of culture. She identified as politics, economics, education, war, sex, entertainment, and a few other areas of culture. She says, like we're on a chessboard, so we have to counter whatever moves the oppressor group makes. Now, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, this gentleman, helped us a great deal by focusing on history And he and his organization, the National Association of Studying our history, carved out a special place and time for us to focus on our history in the early 20s. I think he did that in 1926. This was called Negro History Week. And we were able, with the Cultural Revolution of Malcolm and Dr. Karenga and the rest of us, we were able to expand that to a month called Black History Month. And so Carter G. Woodson wrote the book, The Miseducation of the Negro, and set us on a path, along with some other scholars, even before him, to understand that education ain't just education, and that we definitely have a challenge with that whole area because the oppressor group wants to keep a monopoly on the minds of black folks. And so in order to break that monopoly, we got to understand history properly and tell our story and not be bamboozled by his story. I know y'all feeling me out there in the audience, right?
In Chicago, do we have something called the Woodson Library, that places that honor him?
Oh yeah, the Carter G. Woodson Regional Branch just got a long overdue renovation. I haven't been up there yet, but yeah, that's a good place to remember that brother.
Where's it located?
95th and Halsted. So definitely go check that place out. It has a lot of good research and things in it, an auditorium. We have programs up there all the time. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention another one of my mentors. Now, Dr. Karenga has impacted me most definitively, but the late, great Stokely Carmichael, known to us as Dr. Kwame Ture, was one of my early leaders and teachers also. And this brother really sent me off when he came back from Africa in 1970. He was on the church over on Ashland, and he said, African youth must be organized with a clear ideological perspective. And something in my head went bing, and I've been out here ever since. Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael, Shaka Zulu, they used to call him, gave me my marching papers. And he and Dr. Karenga, and also the Honorable Dr. Bobby Wright was one of my mentors too at the Communiversity here in Chicago in the early 70s. He taught liberation psychology and had a class that really taught us some things. And then I was blessed, and many of us were blessed, to also learn at the Communiversity from this brother, Rua Sanyama Chiri from Zimbabwe. Now, of course, back in the 70s, it was Rhodesia, and the people were struggling to free up the land and get it back to being Zimbabwe and controlled by black folks. But this brother came to America and taught us about Kwame Nkrumah, Sekou Touré, all those continental African leaders, and he was a real Pan-Africanist. In fact, I named my first son after him, Marua. That means flower of resistance. And so our people must understand that there's more to our lives than what we've been forced into thinking and doing with our lives. Black folks, we have a collective problem. So we can't let the individualism that is pushed by the Caucasian in America in the capitalist system to throw us off. We need to aggregate our forces. We need to practice the Nguzo Saba. Those are the 7 principles of Kwanzaa that Dr. Karenga and the organization US researched and codified into a system of behavior. Umoja, unity. We need to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race. Kujichagulia, self-determination, to define ourselves, name ourselves, speak for ourselves, rather than having those things done for us by others. Ujima, collective work and responsibility, to make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and solve them together. Then there is Ujamaa, cooperative economics, to build our own businesses, shops and other businesses together and profit from them together. Then, of course, the principle Nia, or purpose, to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community, restoring our people to their traditional greatness. Then you have Kuumba, creativity, that we should do always as much as we can in the way we can to make our community more beautiful and beneficial than when we came into it. excuse me. And then finally, Imani, faith, to believe with all our hearts, and our parents, our teachers, our leaders, our people, in the righteousness and victory of our historic struggle for freedom from want, toil, and domination at the hands of others. All of this is Kawaida philosophy that I'm spitting. And you can definitely contact the US organization out in Los Angeles, www.organizationus.org, or you can go to www.maulanaKarenga.org. He writes articles regularly for the Los Angeles Sentinel newspaper, very mind-expanding articles, and that's one way you can be in touch with them. So we have a slew of people, both men and women, and with this being what we call March, we don't refer to it as Women's History Month. The organization US projects it as Black History Month Part 2, where we focus on our women. So this sister, the Honorable Nina Simone, I actually had a chance to meet this lady at a protest rally down in Cairo, Illinois back in 1969. I was 18 years old. I was a Luke Junior College student, and we went down with the Black Student Union. The Honorable James L. Satterfield was the student leader at that time, and we took a bus down there, and I remember they had a machine gun on top of the police building. Them crackers down there were crazy. And I remember meeting Nina Simone. She came all the way and was joining the protests, and she was awesome. Then you have, we must remember this lady, the Honorable Fannie Lou Hamer of Mississippi. She said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And she said, we should always remember where we came from. And, remember the bridges that brought us over. You know, it's a deep sister here. Then we have another sister directly tied to reparations, the Honorable Queen Mother Moore out of New York. Now this lady was awesome. In fact, I got a chance to meet her at a program that Rua Chiri and the United Africans for One Motherland International here in Chicago back in the early, mid-70s had a program, and we were at Dunbar High School, and I got a chance to actually escort Queen Mother Moore down the aisle to the stage. And this lady was into reparations, and you know, we owe her a special debt of gratitude for all that work. We have many heroes and sheroes in the struggle. Dr. Betty Shabazz, Shirley Chisholm, Assata Shakur, who's still with us. We got all kind of great women. It is said that our women hold up half our sky, so we must treat them properly. You hear that, brothers? And sisters, we need strong sisterhoods. Don't be calling each other these bad names. You know, I substitute in the high school, so I'm around the young people a lot. And I'll be trying to check and challenge them and urge them to kind of, you know, elevate their consciousness and their behavior, because we got to get away from all this popular culture. See, Dr. Karenga has identified popular culture versus national culture. And he definitely says that the battle is first for the hearts and minds of our people. For we lose that battle, Brother Brahim, we can't hope to win any other. So the culture revolution urges us to overturn weakness, you know, bust out of this colonial mentality that we have. That's what culture does, culture revolution. We got to practice our values and not just be misdirected by the values of individualism, material acquisitiveness, and all that stuff that the Caucasian pushes.
Excuse me, so the political system as it stands is not going to get the masses out of the situation that we're in, would you say?
Well, our politics can't be the same as their politics, you see. And that's what Bobby Wright told us. He said, we can't deal with their definitions to free us. We have to have the self-determination to speak our own special cultural truth. And so our politics goes far beyond just the electoral system. There's some things we have to do with our vote, but we must do the economics also, as Minister Farrakhan said. He said, politics without economics is symbol without substance. You know, so we have to understand that we have a lot of things we got to do. Our struggle is a cultural struggle. We're battling on many different fronts in terms of culture. Politics, economics, education, you know, family life and how we structure ourselves and our relationships with one another.